guys, it's Adam from Loose Pixel, and I have a special treat for you. You're going to notice the audio is a little bit different today because I'm not the only one behind the mic today. I have my daughter, Emily, second year in illustration in college, who's joining in today because we had a conversation recently. You want to say hi?
Hi.
We had a conversation recently about social media, and I was picking Emily's brains about it because she really knows her stuff when it comes to social media, Instagram, the good, the bad, and she gave me so much amazing insight into it in ways that I just can't. I just don't have her expertise in that regard. So I really wanted to share this conversation with her because I think her input's a lot more valuable than mine today. So this is two professional Duff artists you're talking to right here. And the first question that you brought up that I thought was probably one of the most important things we could talk about today is comparing your art to other people. And you said something that didn't even occur to me. And what was that?
Well, for me, I guess I just realized that comparing myself to my old work rather than other people's current day work it's so much more like uplifting and good for... I'm not good at this.
It's fine, because I'm not editing this out.
Oh,
so
no.
You're stuck with this crappy recording of yourself. How does that make you feel? Yeah.
No good at all. But anyway.
Yeah, but comparing this is the thing. It's not comparing yourself to others. That's what plays into it, but it's comparing you to your old self.
Yeah, I think that's so much more beneficial because when you look at your old art, you can see how much you've improved.
Yeah.
And it's good to feel like you've improved. You can't, yes, you have to be self-critical, but you can't constantly be hating on your own art, right? So I feel like when you compare yourself too much to others, it's so easy to fall into the idea that everybody else is perfect and you just suck all the time.
Yeah.
But that's not the case usually. You need to be looking at your own progress.
And I find that particularly for somebody in your position who produces such an incredibly high volume of art, like 10 times, you do 10 times what I do artistically. And when you do, your improvement is so fast that you can look at stuff you did 2 weeks ago and cringe.
Yeah, I could do stuff that I did an hour ago.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, but it just goes to show when you really apply yourself how fast you can improve at things.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that is from comparing myself to other artists. Because the more you do it, the more unsatisfied you get. And that is a drive to keep going.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the healthiest.
Yeah.
But it is still a drive. And I think it's still important to get inspired. But when you get to, when your head gets too oversaturated with ideas and different styles and things you want to do, it can be discouraging and that can get rid of creativity. Okay,
well, yeah. Well, there's the biggest point there. What leads you to oversaturating your thoughts? What overwhelms you when you're on social media? What makes you feel like, holy smokes, I can't keep up with this?
Well, for one, Instagram just has so many artists on it already.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that in the past it was a lot better of a platform to post art because for anything, the more time goes on, the more people go on it.
Yeah.
And also there was an algorithm change, so...
Yeah, tell me about that. Like it's not the same. It doesn't behave the same as it used to. I've noticed that myself,
too. Yeah, definitely. Well, for one, nothing's chronological anymore. It's all just random.
Why?
So,
What's the
I don't
idea?
know. Instagram's just weird like that.
Okay.
So they did that, so it's really hard to even keep up with the people that you already follow.
Right.
But also it's just so much harder to get likes, so much harder to get follows. So if you were on Instagram when it was better before the algorithm, it was a lot easier to get followers and retain those. But now, not only is it oversaturated, but Instagram's kind of working against you in that regard. Yeah,
and this is so huge because a lot of people, a lot of artists who don't, you need to realize something. You're not dealing with, you're not sharing your art with people. Those aren't the first people you're sharing it with. You're sharing it with a computer. You're sharing it with AI that is designed to either present or not present your work to other people.
Yeah.
And that's why you hear a lot of YouTubers, YouTubers or any well-known creators online. That's the washing machine's done. That they'll even joke at that and say, give it a thumbs up because the algorithm loves that. And the reason being is that they're playing into the algorithm because otherwise nobody's even going to see what they do.
Yeah.
And a lot of artists take that personally and think, I suck. I'm not as popular as them because my art's not as good as them, when it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that your art never got shown to everybody.
I think that it's really good to look at Instagram for what it is. It's a great place to get ideas. It's a great place to put all your stuff out there and kind of have like an online portfolio if that's the way you want to go about it. Stories are fun. You can interact with people. But it's not the best place to get recognized.
Not anymore, is it?
No.
It's just oversaturated.
Yeah.
There's just way too, and you see this in any kind of popular social media, anything. There's always if it's a social media that's designed to quote help people, or like LinkedIn or Instagram or any of these different platforms. At the beginning, first adopters are the ones that usually benefit the most from it. Like if you look at PewDiePie and stuff. Yes, I love his content. He's hilarious. He's awesome. I love his editing, all that kind of stuff. But he came in at an optimal time. He decided to make gaming videos when it was in its infancy. Mm-hmm. And that popularity he gained had a lot to do with when he jumped into the game. Where other people nowadays are producing content that's just as funny, just as well done, just as well edited. Arguably, PewDiePie doesn't even edit himself that much. They do an even better job, but they'll never hit that level of notoriety because they just came in later. There's just too many people doing it.
There's always like a golden era of every social media platform before it blows up and it gets crazy. Yeah. And Instagram's definitely long gone.
It really is. You know, and you can think about that as, well, crap, I missed my chance. But I like to think of it more as keep your eyes open to the next one. Mm-hmm. You know, it's so the people for any of you who want to really make a big name for yourself and you're very ambitious to grow socially, it's jumping on a platform when the market's still hot. They're still trying to push because remember, when you first start a new app or a new platform, whatever it is, the developer's intention is to make it popular. Yeah. So by making people famous, it's promoting their product.
But at the same time, there's an oversaturation of apps too. Mm-hmm. And it's so much harder for apps to get famous because there's so many. Yeah. So like even if you have a business art account, you'll get like emails every once in a while that ask if you can be a featured artist on a new platform. It's never going to turn into anything. It's so hard.
I've been offered that too a couple of times. Yeah.
It's really hard to predict what's going to happen. Yeah. So I think the best way to go about it is just not to get discouraged by your followers or your likes or anything, and just do what you love and interact with people and take in mind what it really is. It's not a way for you to get famous.
It's not personal. Yeah.
It's great. But yeah, don't take it personal and don't think that your art sucks just because it's not getting enough views. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's a perspective a lot of people don't get, because you look at, like in photography, people look at the Peter McKinnons and the Casey Neistats. And if you look on Instagram, you look at all the artists that are really killing it on Instagram. They post something and 5 minutes later, they've got 16,000 likes on it. And you post something and you go to check it out 6 months later and it's got 10. Yeah. And 8 of them are by your mom. It's like, wow, and you could take that really personally. This was another thing you mentioned, and this kind of I've mentioned this in the past as well, kind of sort of, I grazed on it, but you defined it. You were talking about how, and if you hear jingling, that's our cat Link. He's
in feral mode.
He's in feral mode right now. He goes nuts once a day, and he runs around the house making noise. But you said something that was really, really important. And this relates not only to Instagram. This is social media in general. Remember that a platform is designed to be used. Mm-hmm. It's the intention of the creators of YouTube, creators of Instagram, creators of TikTok, creators of anything to get people to use it as much as possible. That's how they make money. That's how they make advertising revenue, etc. Social media favors volume. Yeah. The more, the better. And it's to their benefit, not necessarily to yours, right? Now, how do you feel that has impacted you and how you create, if at all? Has it?
Well, yeah, it definitely has. But I try to think about it as like least as possible.
Okay.
You know, because I'm kind of lucky where the art that I do is a lot of sketching and cartooning, so I can do it more
Faster
frequently,
output, so to speak, yeah.
but still I'm very picky and I don't post 90% of what I do.
Yeah.
So I don't end up posting that often, and you just got to forget about it, because you can't be doing art just to post it. You need to do it for yourself. And I've gotten into that trap before where I was like, I need to post, so I've got to draw. That's completely and utterly the wrong reason to do it.
Yeah.
It's just, you're going to make stuff that you don't care about.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like a lot of the artists that got popular on Instagram, it's because they do it a lot. And I mean, I'm not one to judge people on their artistic journey, right? Everybody's at a different level. But I do see a bit of unfairness when it comes to, not me particularly, but other artists who are on a higher level, but they don't have as many people following them or as much traction, because they do work that takes longer for them to post.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so huge. And like, I would fall into that category.
Definitely.
I'm not a fast artist. Like, if you were to compare my speed, for instance, to an artist like Anthony Jones. Are you familiar with Anthony Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. He's the poster boy of speed and efficiency. Like, he'll post 3 paintings in a day. I do 1 painting. Like, I'll spread my paintings over 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm just slower. So for me, you actually are the one who helped me with that. You're the one who helped me kind of get a better perspective on it, and saying, if you do produce work, if you're a slower artist, spread out when you post. You know, don't work on bulk and then upload bulk. Spread yourself out, because I hadn't posted a lot of my artwork on Instagram, and you said, don't post everything at one shot. Spread it out.
Consistency.
And
is a lot better.
Yeah. So work on a volume of work, but post it at regular, constant intervals.
Yeah.
And the algorithm responds to those intervals. It's looking for schedules. It's looking for rhythm in the algorithm. So for me, for instance, I make sure that when I'm posting, I make an effort, which can be challenging for me too, because sometimes I'm in the zone and sometimes I'm not, but I make a point of posting once a week. At least artistically, my artwork.
Yeah.
And I really used to put a lot of pressure on myself to try to get that painting done by the end of the week, but with my schedule, it's just too hard for me to do.
Yeah, you can't force it.
No.
You really can't. You're just not going to like what you end up creating.
No, and that actually added a lot of stress. That put a lot of stress on my shoulders, because I was thinking, I'm not proud of what I've done. This is not art I want to show to people. So I would come, like Friday, Saturday, when I knew I had a video to post in a couple of days, I started to really stress out. And of course, that's a trap, because the more you stress, the worse you focus. What really helped me in my particular case, and I'd be interested to know what helped you as well, was watching artists who are slower. Artists like Darkin, artists like Borodante, artists that aren't ashamed or shy to post 5 or 6 different renditions of the same painting, works in progress. They're not afraid to say, I don't like what I did, let's give it another shot. And when you look at it, like, I look up to artists like Borodante, and when I see how he can do that, it gives me permission to do it too.
Yeah.
It allows you to post things more regularly, which pleases the algorithm gods, but allows you to slow down your pace. So I'm not panicking at the end of the week when I feel like, crap, I don't have anything to show anybody. Or at least the stuff I have to show, I don't want to show. So I pace myself, and that's kind of how I get around that. And I also produce different types of artwork too, like different types of videos. So I'm not always producing art. I also have my book videos, which allows me to change my rhythm and kind of focus on 2 different types of projects, which allows me to be able to post twice a week on my channel. But that's my limit, right?
Yeah.
And with your advice, I'd say this is the piece of advice I would share is always and only commit to what you're capable of doing consistently.
Yeah.
So I could, if I wanted to, hyper boost the algorithm on my YouTube channel, for instance, I could do daily videos, but I can't.
Yeah.
I can't commit to that. I'm a full-time teacher. I've got a lot of other projects I'm working on. So I could reasonably, healthily commit to 2 videos a week, and I kept it, and that's been good enough as far as YouTube. They're happy enough with that as far as that goes. So
yeah, and I think that there doesn't have to even be a commitment. Like, I understand that it's your job, it's your work, you need income, but at the same time, there doesn't have to be that pressure there. There's so many artists who will just draw and post when they do. It's just social media, and I think it's so important to disconnect yourself from that, because it can have such a negative influence on your art if you let it trap you in a way that you have to do this every single week. There's nobody telling you that you have to do this every single week.
True. Yeah.
And if you need to take a break, people understand. It's not the end of the world, and it's just important to, like, you know, disconnect yourself from that sometimes, and even just do a painting for yourself. And if it turns out bad, it turns out bad. It's not the end of the world. And that's why I agree, seeing those artists who pace themselves and aren't afraid to post bad work is so important, because if you only ever see perfect work or people's best work, it's discouraging, it's scary, and it's not the truth. Like, nobody always does amazing work.
No.
So I think it's honestly beneficial to post some stuff that you're not super proud of.
Yeah.
And just be like, well, this is what I did, and I don't love it, but it's a part of my progress. And
you know what, that actually empowers others. I mean, it's funny you're saying that, because I would listen to one of the things that really helped me a lot psychologically when it came to painting was Darkin's videos. And he would be very open about the organic, imperfect process of creating a work of art. And whenever I felt, and this kind of taps into something else I wanted to talk about, whenever I felt kind of like I was putting too much pressure on myself to perform, I'd watch his videos, and his videos gave me permission to approach my paintings in more of a trial and error type of way. Bucci, the artist that I love, the Polish artist Bucci, you watch his documentary, and he would talk about how some days he would spend 5 minutes and he would have just a few licks of paint on his canvas, the term he used, and other days he would spend 9 hours painting, and he would just go off in the flow. And that's life, right? That's life. That's how these different things work. You said something that really sparked something for me too, and I find this is huge. It's who do you check out? Which other artists do you check out that help you, and which ones hinder you? Which artists can you look at, and which artists or YouTubers, or it doesn't even have to be art related. Are there YouTubers or things you listen to, or people that you can listen to for hours and hours that help keep you inspired, and other ones that might pull you away or discourage you from your art?
Yeah. So I find that in terms of just artists, not like media or anything else, because I'm definitely inspired a lot by media and cartoons and stuff, just Instagram artists, I find that the most beneficial, like, to look at and to be inspired by is artists that suit my personal style the best. Because I can fall into a hole of looking at, like, master painters who do oil, and I'm like, whoa, it's so good, and I'll like pull out a canvas and not be able to do it because I've literally never done oil painting in my life. So yes, it's fun to get inspired by them, but like when you hate yourself because you can't do this thing that this person has been doing their entire life that you've never tried, it's just ridiculous. So I feel like looking at people who maybe are on the same skill level as me or do a similar style to me than me. Yeah, it's really the most beneficial. And also just watching things that make you happy. Like, I honestly, that's one of the things that gets on my nerves when people are like, oh, why are you spending your time reading books that are fun or watching things that are for kids or like happy, energetic, funny, you know? People don't see the value in that as much.
They almost regard it as an immaturity?
Yeah, which is so the opposite of what it is. Because that's where inspiration comes from. And
from feeling good.
Exactly. And I think that...
And that feeling good doesn't have to necessarily be things that are happy, smiley, jokey.
No, not at all.
It's things that make you feel a comfy, warm, positive feeling. Yeah, absolutely.
You could be like working on your mind, or you could be working on your heart, And I feel like that's where a lot of good art comes from, you know?
Yeah.
Watching things that just make you happy.
Yeah.
And also, this is a little bit off topic, but I feel like this is kind of plays into the whole idea that, like, some people still kind of think that cartoons are just for kids.
Oh,
and that,
don't get me
you know?
started on that bullshit. Yeah.
But, like, why can't something that's cute and sweet and makes you happy be art? You know? So that's just how I feel about that.
You know, well, since you opened that can of worms, I remember back when you were in high school and you had a teacher who said, yeah, well, we're going to focus on more mature stuff here.
No, she's just like, oh, I don't want to see any cute art. I was
Cute
like,
art.
oh.
Well, you just eliminated me from the equation. Thanks for that. Well, listen, you know your dad's a cartoonist too, and that was my background as well. And that's always been a huge pet peeve. And that arguably, the argument back when I was in school, even some of the professors I taught with, their attitude about it was that, well, it was the animation department, so that's a different story. They were all cartoonists, but a lot of people's attitudes about art was that cartooning was kind of like for kids. And then when you get older and you mature and you, quote, improve, you get into more serious things like what Link? Our cat came to join us. Hi, sweetie pie. So, and he's being a big
He's such a
Ow!
baby.
Don't bite my foot! Ow! Jesus, Link!
Damn.
Stop it! There you go. Yeah, see, feral mode. He wants to eat daddy now.
Yep.
But to anybody who thinks that animation, if we're just talking about animation in general, is the less mature art, then I always implore people to try. And in fact, when you look at a lot of cartoons, you might have a very kind of, you look at Disney or Pixar, I watch a lot of documentaries on like Pixar artists and stuff like that as well, or any animation artists. They have a very youthful personality, but there is purpose, there's depth behind that. And even though they might have, they might giggle at fart jokes or things like that, they have incredibly mature personalities and incredibly deep thoughts. And I would argue that animation is a means to capture and communicate very, very heavy topics.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's me going off on your tangent there. Just to say, because I have to defend the animation. I have such a love for it, and even in my darker style of art, anybody who has an animation background or who gets that culture can see and feel that feeling in my darker art.
Yeah.
It resonates in my darker art. It's that same wavelength of emotion. That's what makes us such awesome human beings. High five.
We're just so great. Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, what were we talking about? We went off on a tangent there. What were we talking about? Artists that influence us, or social media that influences versus social media that pulls us away.
Yeah.
Right. Emily wanted to share some of her favorite. She researches art online obsessively, so she's an incredibly good resource for. It's called promotion. Handle it. Wow. So, no, but Emily really does. She literally lives on Instagram and she's constantly checking this stuff out. So she's a very reliable resource for artists online, a lot more than myself. So Emily's actually compiled a kind of this is literally a short list of some of the artists that she can think of that she really loves and she follows. Some of the spelling and stuff is a little bit hard to pronounce because there's some obscure names and stuff. So we're going to link all of these in the description below so you can go and check them out on Instagram and show some love, spread the love. So yeah. So who's let's hear your list here.
Okay, I'm gonna try my best. The first one is Gaston Pacheco.
Okay.
Then Mike Katsu, Natalie Kuramoto, Andrew Cockroach, Andrew McLean, Piomichi. That's a hard one, man. Yeah, I don't think that's her name, but anyway. Jonathan Cantero, Quinn Neckel.
What? Let me see how the hell is that spelled? Quinn Neckel? Quinny CL maybe? I don't know.
Bee Booties, and of course Natazilla, the creator of Being a Puppy Cat, who I didn't know was the creator of Being Puppy Cat, and I followed her for like 2 years, and she was my favorite artist, and then I realized
she's amazing. Who created Over the Garden Wall?
Oh gosh, I can't remember. I don't know
because that's probably one of the most beautiful shows ever.
Incredible.
Okay, yeah. So like I said, here's a suggestion for everybody listening as well. Is I'm going to list them in the comments below just so you can get the spelling, you can follow them and everything like that. But we can use this as an opportunity since we're all obsessed with other artists, clearly, to a fault very often. Feel free to use the comments below to share your favorite Instagrammers or your favorite artists online and share links to them if you can. So we can build up our own libraries. It's just kind of a communal kind of library of favorite artists, because that's the thing about social media, is that I've discovered on a very regular basis, I'll be just searching up certain things and then I'll get this random suggestion by an artist on YouTube and I'm like, wow, they're amazing. And I'm like, and I look and I go, how come nobody knows about them? How come I haven't heard about it before? Because I'm assuming that because I haven't heard of them, they're new, because I've been on the platform for such a long time. And I look and they've got like 19 million subs. I'm like, and I didn't even know they existed. I'm so frustrated with this. So this gives us an opportunity to kind of discover artists that unfortunately the algorithm is too incompetent to suggest, in my opinion. So this will get the ball rolling, and feel free, you can throw as many names as you want below, and when you're reading the comments for everybody else who's listening, you can just add them to your list and go and check them out and like all of your favorites. All right, so Emily,
bye.
Another high five. You're awesome. Thank you. This was awesome. We got to do this again. This is fun. And I couldn't have done this video without you. I love you.
Thank you. I love you too.
And for everybody else, we love you too with all our hearts. Stay safe, everybody, and happy painting. Take care.